Smile, every hug, every kiss, every touch, every person in my life that I care about and love. But wait, maybe I'm getting too emotional. That's exactly what they say you ain't supposed to do. Suppress your feelings, never talk about your pain. Can't appreciate the sun without acknowledging it rains, right? That's right. So this a moment of clarity. And make sure you always protect your energy. You stay focused and your life gon' be lit. And you are now rocking with Celeste, the therapist. Let's go.
Hey, hi, beautiful people. If this is your first time in my podcast or you're watching me on the replay, thank you for watching me. I appreciate you. My name is Celeste. I'm a therapist from Boston. I come on, I talk to people who are doing things to empower the lives of others by sharing their story. And the goal behind everything that I do is to just help you shift the way you think. And so it's been an amazing journey since March of last year when the pandemic hit. I started to do my podcast on video, but prior to that, I was podcasting only on audio. So that's been really exciting. So if you only watch me on video, there is an audio component to it, and I am streaming on all podcasting platforms. So today I have a really special guest that I'm going to add to the stream. I have like a love-hate relationship for him. I don't know if he knows that yet, but I guess he knows it now, right? So can you introduce yourself to the audience, please?
My name's Dorian, and I have a love-hate relationship. No, my name is Dorian from Group 82 Music, group82media.com. Speaking of which, not to go off too quick early, but that intro rap, who did that?
Yeah, my boy. Yeah, it was. So I was like, yo, I want to. So the reason why Dorian is asking this because he listens to music, but I told him I wanted to do a podcast where I talked to people and I told him what it was about, and he wrote it the same day and then added the beat, and it was a rap.
That's dope.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Thank you. Grimes.
Yeah. Is he on Spotify?
No, he needs to be.
No, for real. That caught my attention. Like, it was mixed well. He has a really good voice. That was good. That was really good.
Oh, I'll let him know. Thank you. So Dorian, I've been following for a long time. Dorian got me through some long nights at the hospital when I was working. So he's in Texas now, but he was in California during the time. And he would go on Periscope. And I remember coming across you and thinking like, who do you think he is? Because like some of his stuff, it'd be like mad raw. So that was my first impression, right? He's somebody you're going to love or hate. And then I started listening. I'm like, dang, he is telling the truth though. I used to be like, he is telling the truth though. So that's how I met Dorian. I'm sure you met me on Periscope as well.
Yep. And then what it really was your Facebook, because like I kept seeing you post interviews nonstop, and a lot of people come to me, man. They come to me and they ask questions or whatever, and once you get to a certain point, you're not trying to be rude, but it's so many people reaching out to you. You only want to really acknowledge people that are really put in the work too. And so I kept seeing, it was probably like, there was one point you did an interview 5 times a week.
That was last year.
Yeah. I'm like, damn, because I know how to do the podcast. I'm like, yo, she's on the grind. You know what I mean? So that made me get a lot of respect for you and what you're doing out here.
Thank you. So one of the things, so Dorian is not just a musician, but he helps entrepreneurs. He has really great content and really helps people get unstuck. So before I talk about what he's doing, I kind of want my audience to know who you are, because I'm assuming you didn't just start life and was like, I'm going to be this entrepreneur talking shit to people online and not caring don't care about your feelings. If you soft in the middle, don't even go into his page. But if you trying to get unstuck, go to his page.
I'm just a real ass nigga. Nah.
You're real.
I was very fortunate because I had 2 great parents, and they were married for a long time. And I have that balance. Like, my mom is very emotional, has a lot of empathy. And my dad does too, but my dad, he didn't have a dad. And my dad came from the military. And my dad had me and my sister very early, and she's older than me. And so, my dad, like my parents had me when they were 21, 22 respectively. So I grew up with them, so it's like I was able to get a lot of balance very early. And me being first generation middle class, first generation college, then college grad, I was able to see their childhood from their eyes because it was still new because they were still young and they were constantly warning me about stuff. And so because of that, I think I developed a very high emotional IQ and I moved around a lot. My dad was in Air Force. So I developed a very high emotional IQ. So I'm able to see through stuff very quick. And then when I was got to college, I realized you can't call out everything that you see but hurt a lot of people's feelings, But when people try to get over on folks, and in the industry I'm in right now, the music business, that's what they do. That's how they've made their trillions of dollars. I don't like that, And so I try to be very straightforward and I try to just reveal the truth. Right. And I only talk about stuff that I know. If I don't know it, I'm not going to talk about it. And so that upbringing combined with the fact that I was also a college basketball coach. And because of that, right, you're dealing with, I coached middle school, high school, and then college. So you're dealing with 13-year-olds all the way up to 23-year-olds, most African-American, a lot came from single parent homes. They're really looking at you as that big brother, as that father figure sometimes. And so you got to speak to them in a language that they understand. And one thing I learned very early on was they all gravitated towards me because I was the youngest and they liked me. But the moment that they could be real with me, I was an outlet for them that they didn't have. Because these dudes are 6'7", 6'8", ranked top 20, top 30 in their class in high school, getting stuff sent to them by Nike, got these $1 million college coaches calling them every week, but they're still 16 years old. And so when they can pour into coach, and they know coach ain't about to be on no bullshit because he keeps it real with them, it allows for a relationship that I still have with a lot of them to this day. And so when I started making content on social media, we're all trying to find who we are on social media, right? Because I don't like social media, to be honest. But I was like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it like me. And if I get rejected, then I get rejected. But people seem to like it. So I ran with it.
When you say you were fortunate enough to have parents that kind of kept you grounded and they kind of showed you the way, did you always follow their lead or did you find yourself slipping up at times?
Nah, I mean, I don't think I ever slipped up because I wasn't like a bad kid. I mean, of course, I got put on punishment. I got whoopings. I got the typical stuff, but I think what it was, they were so young. They were 21, 22. So when I started middle school, man, my mom and dad were 33 and 32. When I graduated high school and started college, they were still in their 30s. So I got to see all that firsthand. And it was I knew I couldn't get nothing past them. I can't come in the house smelling like weed. So I don't even want to be around weed. I didn't start smoking until I was 30. I only want to be around weed because y'all parents going to be asleep because they 60. Mine's probably going to be up watching who knows what, Arsenio or whoever was out at that damn time. You know what I mean? So I couldn't get past a lot of shit. So I just started really embracing it. And they're so damn loving. You know what I mean? So it's they're giving me everything that I need emotionally, spiritually, taking care of me financially. I want to go to this amusement park or get these shoes when they do it. I had to work for it, but they were also real. My parents, I didn't want for nothing. Now, of course, when I was 16, I wanted a new car, and they gave me an 86 Nissan Maxima. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I wanted every Jordan, but they got me one every quarter. But because they were so good, I realized early, I'm not about to fuck this up. And then most of my friends and my cousins didn't have their dad. I had mine. And I realized early, yo, that's different. Because every time he would come up to the school, it was weird. People was looking yo, black father. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of weird. And my dad was young. Yeah. He was cool. He's listening to New Jack Swing. After my 4th or 5th grade basketball practice, he's grabbing the ball and he's dunking that shit. My dad's cool. So it was all these things bro, you've been blessed to have. Yeah. Why would you trick this off?
That's dope. Now in college, you majored in psychology, right?
Yeah.
What made you pick that? That's my subject. What made you pick psychology?
Moving around a lot. Like I said, I think I learned a really high emotional IQ, and I wanted to be a therapist. I wanted to be a marriage and family therapist. And
Really? I would
yeah,
have never known that.
yeah, and then I wanted to be attached to like a church initially because I realized like how many people in our community just had so much pain. But then I realized that church is not the route to go, and we can get into that topic later. And then B, Black people don't go to therapy, and so I gotta keep it real. I didn't want to be talking to white people all day, and that's just being honest. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wish at that time the mental health stigma was a way, or it was a little softer than it is, like it is right now. But Black people, they weren't going to therapy, man, and so the passion for me just really wasn't going to be there. And I had to pick a major for college, and I didn't see basketball coaching. I didn't see Grand Theft Auto video game design. I didn't see how to make beats like Dr. Dre on the fucking major sheet. So I'm looking at all these whack ass majors. I'm like, well, shit, psychology. I like that class in high school. So let me just roll with that. And when you 17, you got to create the story. I'm going to go to grad school. I'm going to get my signee. I'm going to get my master's. I'm going to get my PhD from Carnegie Mellon and start my own practice. I ain't want to do none of that shit.
So now you do the psychology major. I'm assuming music was always a love that you had growing up because it's like you have this ear for it. You're so invested in music. When did that become your like true passion?
Yeah, thank you for that. Once again, young parents, and my dad was in the military. So anybody's been in the military, you know how they are when it comes to when they get their checks. And this is the mid 80s. My dad bought a stereo as big as this goddamn wall. It was actually bigger. That thing was massive. And it had the mixer, it had everything. And, anything Teddy Riley put his hands on, my dad was banging. Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, New Edition. I mean, even like New Kids on the Block and stuff. My dad was banging that stuff. And my parents are from Ohio. So funk was huge when they were younger. So when the G-Funk era came out, they didn't really like it, but they couldn't deny how good Dre was killing it. And for me, that was like my own thing. Because of course you want to be like your dad. So he had the funk. I had the G-Funk. But, being from where I was from at the time, we were living in Dayton, Ohio. That's my parents' hometown. And I was playing the drums and the trumpet and all that stuff in like the school band. But man, don't nobody make it in music, man, like that. And then I moved to Indianapolis, and people really don't make it in music like that. So I'm seeing all these people taking music classes. They in the band, they go into the studio, making beats, passing out their mixtape, performing at, we had this thing called Star Quest in Indianapolis. It was at every Indiana Black Expo and Circle City Classic. It was like a big thing, like this huge talent show. I'm seeing people do that. Like, damn, these people taking it serious, and ain't nobody doing nothing. I'm like, man, that's a pipe dream. Like, making it in music is a pipe dream. And so once again, like when it was time to pick shit for college, that wasn't even on my mind. And then I get to college, and one of my best friends, DJ Rally, shout out to him, like he was a DJ. And so I'm still interested in music and shit, but I'm looking at him, and he gonna get mad at me for saying this, but I said it to his face. He would be a fucking lazy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm looking at all these dudes who want to rap. I'm like, everybody want to rap or DJ or produce. They ain't doing nothing from it. Either
explain lazy. When you say lazy, explain that, please.
At DJ Rally, and I'm not bullshit. So when you're from Indianapolis in that era, I'm born in 84, graduated high school in 2002. So in that era, Chopped and Screw was huge. And so Houston and then Memphis and then Indianapolis was like the homes for screw music because we had a lot of relatives down in these areas. And you had to know how to chop. You had to know how to screw. You couldn't just turn on the filter and roll with it. You had to know what you was doing. Rally was cold. Like anytime he hopped on the tables, no matter where they was from, what hood they was from, I'm like, yo, who is that? That nigga nice with it. His mixtapes used to always sell out. And then once the mixtapes went digital, OJ the Juice Man, y'all remember him, he was huge. And he was somebody that a lot of the DJs would try to grab songs, and everybody try to do chops and screw because this is like 07, 08 at this time. And Rally uploaded his OJ the Juice Man mixtape to that Piff. No promotion, no nothing. And that thing got like 50,000 downloads. And niggas in comments hate, especially on that Piff. They would talk shit. Like 95% of the comments. Bro, this damn near one of the coldest OJ the Juice Man mixtapes I ever heard. Like, he had natural talent, but he wasn't grinding on it like he should have been. Like, I mean, even to the point, I don't want to make this whole interview about Rally. I love Rally, but like, you know, he had connections to 3-6. And at a point, he had a crossroads. It was like, stay in school or move down to Memphis. And I was telling him, like, bro, you got to do what you got to do. You know, so I don't know if it was laziness combined with being from Indianapolis, combined with the fear and not knowing, combined with all that stuff. But he was just somebody that I saw that was on the cusp, and it didn't happen. So I kept seeing that with other people, too, from a distance. I'm like, yo, something's either wrong with that industry or all these people are just so fucked up that it ain't made for nobody to actually succeed. So I never really looked at it as a reality.
So speaking of that lazy part, because one thing you said about your friend is that he was very talented. Like, you've seen his talent probably more than he's seen his own talent. You watched how he, and when I think about entrepreneurs or people that are trying to create their own brand, I feel like, so you use the word lazy.
Yeah,
I'll say, like, I feel like there's some kind of fear, or, you know, some people may not know the levels that they can climb because they've never been exposed to anything more than their neighborhood, right? But they have these visions or they have these goals and dreams. Tell me a little bit about how, and from your perspective, like, what needs to change for people that may be kind of stuck in that era where they have this talent, but they find themselves not doing anything with it.
You know, niggas need to not be bitches. I mean, and that's what it comes down to. It's like, you know, we're like that's the only way that I can say it, but it's just like.
So break it down in layman terms for my people that don't understand that part.
Like, so when we were coming up, because me and you about the same age, 100 black men, that they have this saying, what they see is what they'll be. Okay. And so for us, like, there was no Barack Obama. There was no Jay-Z. You know, Will Smith and Martin, they were the young, funny dudes. In Living Color ain't Saturday Night Live. You know, Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg are Public Enemies #1. You know what I mean? There was no black person besides Bill Cosby that we can really look at and look what the fuck he was doing. You know, so we didn't have that. You got everything now. Like, the internet has become the ultimate equalizer. I just did a video because I film videos daily. I did a video, and then I was talking about Kobe. I was talking about Nipsey. These dudes have been dead for a year. The amount of gifts that they have left us in their interviews is insane. So many people. Master P, right, is worth $400, $500 million. He gives the gems away. JC is a billionaire. He's giving gems away. Elon Musk is the richest person in the world. He's constantly talking. I don't understand, if you truly want to succeed in life, how you can look at that shit and you are so insecure and so soft and so like, I'm scared of this, that you want to prevent yourself from getting there. And don't get me wrong, the fear is natural. The insecurity is natural. The self-doubt is natural. At a certain point, though, it's like an addict, right? Like, an addict can have all the help in front of them. But if they don't want to change, they ain't going to change. It's the same thing with this. Do you want to be successful or not? Do you want to change your family's last name where it has wealth behind it or not? Do you want to not worry about money or not? It's never been easier to make money on the internet. Is this going on YouTube?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay. So you're going to get ads on this for the rest of your life.
Right.
Your kids are going to get ad money off of this for the rest of their life. For us having a conversation that 15, 20 years ago, we would have had to go to a radio station and make sure it's unedited and make sure that the gatekeepers gave us access. But now it's so easy for you to make content and make money from it. How can you be that much of a bitch?
So I will. So I agree.
But,
so I agree with. So what Dorian is saying.
You lucky I'm not high.
So what Dorian is saying is,
is this gonna be the outtakes?
I'm sorry. So what Dorian is saying is that there's so much information out there, and I can attest to what he's saying. When as I started off earlier, Dorian and I kind of started on Periscope, the reason why me and Rami Malco connected, somebody had shared one of my podcast lives. Then I started following him. I started taking notes. He will always talk about creating your own brand. I always thought like, oh, I'm on Periscope, like a few thousand people are following me, like I'm doing it. Like he was, when I was taking the notes, we weren't like cool then. It was just me being an audience member, taking the notes down, which kind of developed into like my book and my podcast, right? And so literally there's so much information out there. It's interesting, you compared it to an addict. You're right, there's so many resources for people to stop, using that are struggling in it. But it's a choice, like when they're ready to stop, they're going to, stop. And I think when it comes to like what you're trying to do, if you're trying to build a brand, whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, when you're ready and willing to make a commitment, you're going to make it happen. I feel like that was my mindset. Once I decided I was going to create my own brand, and this has been in the works for, I think when people see like what you're doing now, Dorian literally gets paid from YouTube and does just talks like this is what he does. He talks and does what he loves from the comfort of his own home. But Dorian didn't start there, right? Like you didn't he created a platform by his consistency. How often would you go on Periscope to like just talk to the people?
I was on Periscope every day for like 2 years, sometimes multiple, 2, 3, 4 times a day. I mean, there was one time I probably talked on Periscope 5-6 hours a day. I mean, and for me, Celeste, and at that time, because we were kind of new to this, like I wasn't creating content.
I wasn't creating content either.
I wasn't engaging with the audience. I was just talking, and that platform fit my personality very well. And so I learned so much. That's why, like this month, Periscope's ending is breaking my heart. But like I learned so much through the Periscope training camp for those 2 years. And you're right. And then once I saw like, I can't even lie, and I don't even like this dude like that, but his business acumen is elite. So I have to give credit for that. I always give credit when credit's due. I just think he's a culture vulture. He uses black people. But Gary Vee, everything Gary Vee.
I swear, yes. He is a culture vulture, but I take notes from him too. He's doing it.
We got to take his shit and then, don't pay him for it. But like the shit he was saying, I'm like, bro, that's stuff I'm already doing. And he's right. It works. And like he was giving all the terms, and then he would give free stuff like, yo, try doing this. Try doing that. Yeah. And I tried it and it worked. I'm like, oh. So then I start really studying social media marketing. I'm like, damn, if I'd have been doing what I was doing on YouTube, on Periscope,
I know. Like, we didn't know.
Yeah, we didn't. And hindsight is 2020. But I'm telling people that now, like, I'm glad you brought up the YouTube stuff. I just really started taking YouTube serious in June 2020. Right. And I have been on Periscope since 2015. I started taking Instagram serious in 2018. But June 2020, I became monetized in September 2020. And then by October 2020, I had a check. I think it was like $6,000 from YouTube ads and stuff. It's just like, it can happen that fast if you're just consistent and put out content, and that's why I talk about the money. And that's why I talk about the entrepreneurship. And that's why I'm so open and my delivery is the way that it is. Cause it's like, that was my why. Like I used to sleep in my goddamn car. And when I had an apartment, I had to sleep on the floor. Like my account used to overdraft all the time. Like one time I missed my rent. I thought I was going to get evicted. My credit was fucked up. I still got 6 figures in student loan debt. So I am you. Somebody that's listening, you can connect to one of those things. You can get out of it by just being on the internet.
You started taking it seriously. You have over 60,000 subscribers. Like I said, when you go live, people kind of pay you. One of the things about Periscope that helped me, like my podcast is about to hit 200,000 downloads, which is not easy to do at all. One thing that Periscope showed me was the need, right? Can you talk to people? Because what you're doing on YouTube is, you can't, like, you have to be mindful on what the need is. Talk to people a little bit about finding their niche. And one time, Dorian talked about in his area, there's this drink that he really likes at Whole Foods. And he said the branding of that company, it will always run out, right? And he said the branding of the company, if they really wanted to level up or make more money, they would be like, oh, snap, like the stuff is selling out here. Let me add more, right? There's a need. And I feel like at this point, when you become an entrepreneur, your brain starts to work that way. Like your brain starts to be like, oh, snap, I see that. And so what Periscope helped me do was understand, when people started coming, over and over again, I would come on 5 days a week, the same time, and people would come on asking me these same questions, similar things, right? I was like, oh, there's a need for this. People need help shifting the way they think, right? Let me create this platform. So tell people a little bit about how powerful that is to be more, to be kind of mindful on what that is and how they can work on their goal.
It's funny, you was just talking about that drink. I literally went to the grocery store 3 hours ago looking for it, and they were sold out. I found a grocery store that gets them, and they were out. So, but
wait, what's the drink? I know you ain't promote. I know it's not part of your promotion, but what is it called?
Yerba mate, sparkling cranberry pomegranate.
That sounds like some bougie shit.
It's fire. Okay, it's a little can about this big. Okay, if y'all can't see whatever normal like Red Bull size can, that Yerba mate sparkling's fire. But going back to what you were saying, like those gaps, you absolutely got to find those gaps. And I didn't know that was a gift I had. I didn't know that I was doing that. And I think that comes from coaching, because when you're coaching, you got to scout the other team. And the way you scout, you got to find gaps. What's their strengths? What's their weaknesses? Let's stay away from them strengths. Let's exploit the weaknesses. And so everybody who's listening right now, you have a gift. Everybody. And there's something going on in your industry that you wish was different. You ain't the only person that thinks that like that. And when it comes to social media, use that insight that you have, that nerdy ass. It's like Celeste knows more about mental health therapy than 99.9% people in the world. There's nerdy shit that none of us will never get that she knows, And if she starts talking about that nerdy shit consistently, the other nerds who love that are going to be attracted to that because of Google. They're going to type in the nerdy shit. And if you're on YouTube, Google owns YouTube. They're going to push them to Celeste content. Now it's Celeste to perform. And if her content's talking about all that nerdy shit and these nerds get turned on by it, now they're fans because they can't find anybody else talking about that nerdy shit.
Yes. And I had a speaking engagement through Dyson, the vacuum company. I spoke at their one of their staff meetings about wellness for an hour and got paid because they Googled mental health wellness. They wanted to get somebody of color, and my name popped up. And because I pushed so much content out there, they were able to look at my content and just be like, hey, can you come speak at our staff meeting, right? And when I think about building a brand, because I talk to people all the time, social media was free for me to use, right? Yes. Like all of the stuff, but I had to make a commitment with my time. I had to maintain some form of consistency to be able to do that. You think that's fair to say?
Absolutely. And that's why you got to be true to yourself, because you were talking about something you were naturally interested in, and it's the same with me. You would have been having these conversations whether the camera was on or not. And that's how I did it. And it makes it a lot easier to make content when you're doing that. As you can see, she just said, like, you got a paid gig from something that was free. And I'm glad that you said that, because that was my next point. Like, when you're Black, especially if you're a woman, you have something so rare. If you're Black or brown, or if you're a minority and you're putting out consistent content and you know what the hell that you're talking about, you're intelligent, people gonna eat it up. In the music business, there was not a Black rapper who was doing it himself, who was completely independent, who was intelligent and could break down this stuff. There was a massive gap, massive. All these dudes talking about the music business were these old ass white dudes who used to be the Styx manager, and he just found out what YouTube was from his grandson, and now he's just trying to make money because his ass got all his money taken from Universal Records. So he's trying to do that. There was nobody doing this. There were producers, but not rappers. So I saw the gap and I just filled it. And, you know, like you said, from Periscope, you saw people wanted the content, so they gravitate towards you. Same with me. I knew on Periscope, the music business knowledge was content people wanted. I just gave them what they want. It's like, you know, if you got crack in your pocket, you're not going to sell it to a pastor. You're going to sell it to a crackhead because the crackhead wants crack. Get these crackheads they crack.
You're right. I mean, I wouldn't have put it that way, but I mean, there are some pastors that might be crackheads too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean, so that happened. College happens. Somehow you end up getting over 1 million streams on Spotify. How the heck does that happen for you? Because I think that was probably the pivot of your like kind of how you've been able to kind of push your knowledge around. To push your what am I looking for? Expertise around.
You've been smoking.
No, I haven't. Because you got me over here. I don't know what the fuck you're going to say next. So I'm over here. Like,
got her all
trying to guide this
keep
shit.
Keep on their toes.
So,
go ahead. Yeah. So
all this is getting cut. So this part is getting cut. Okay. So with the over 1 million streams on Spotify, you were able to build your expertise around being able to talk to people about this branding. Talk to people a little bit how you ended up with that.
Yeah. So
because you just said that, you know, you can't make it in the music industry, and then now you're telling me you got 1 million streams. So what did you have to do for that?
Yeah. I mean, I was a typical artist. I mean, SoundCloud, you know, listen to me, bro. I'm dope. Spamming DMs, mixtape websites, blogs, doing them BS shows. I mean, everything you see that all the artists are doing, that's what I was doing. That shit didn't work. None of it. And on Periscope, one night, just having a conversation with the pond. I call my community the pond. My male fans are ducks. My female fans are swans. My nickname's Duck, and I call them the pond. My ducks, my swans. Welcome to the pond. Anyway, so I'm talking to the pond one night, and they were like, "Hey, Dorian, did you see about Nelly?" I'm like, "Nah, what happened?" It was like, "Man, he owes the IRS like $4 million or something." I'm like, what? So I'm on Periscope. I bring it up on my laptop. I'm like, damn, this Business Insider article pops up about Nelly's tax troubles. Excuse me. And so I'm looking, and inside the article, they have tweets embedded in the article from Nelly's fans. And one of the tweets was like, yo, how many streams would it take for Nelly to pay off this tax bill? And they listed it. And his fans were like, yo, we about to just stream Hot in Here all night and Country Grammar all night so we can help Nelly. I don't want him out here struggling. I'm like, and I thought it was funny, but at the same time, I'm like, man, does that work? So the pond that was on Periscope at that time, it was probably 40 of them in there, if that. You know, they were like, I was like, hey, I have a song called Don't Sleep. Let's have Don't Sleep, Don't Sleep. So all night, if you got Spotify, put Don't Sleep on repeat, put your phone on mute so I can get paid. And we can see if this works too. Because I didn't think I was going to get paid. I'm like, let's just see if this streaming shit works, you know, because nothing else in the music business worked. And up to that point, Celeste, I mean, I'm talking iTunes, Spotify, sales, music videos, everything. I probably had a total of like 900 streams and views on all platforms. Like I had nothing, you know. 2 days later, I checked my Spotify. Don't Sleep had 2,300 streams. So I had almost triple what I had been doing for 2 years in 1 day. I was like, oh, this streaming shit works. You know, so I started studying like how to get more streams. And I kept seeing these articles pop up about Spotify playlists. This is 2016. So it was a few articles, not a lot. Like I had to go to like the second page of Google, not the first page. I had to really dig. And so I'm looking, and there's all these stories about people who put their songs on playlists and this happened and that happened. So I'm like, well, let me start getting added to playlists. So I started reaching out to people who own these playlists. I like hunted them down on Facebook. Like, I mean, it was a whole training of me like learning how to find people on Spotify playlists that owned them. And I would just send them messages on Facebook like, hey, I found your playlist. It's dope. I listen to it when I work out. You know, add my song. I'm gonna shout you out to my Periscope, which has 22,000 followers. I'm gonna shout your playlist out. Like, okay, cool. I start doing that 5-6 times. I will make a list, Celeste, of 100 playlists in one night. And the next night I would contact 100 and maybe only 5 would say yes. So I'm getting 95 no's 3 times a week, but I'm getting 5 yeses 3 times a week. That's 15 playlists a week. You do that for 10 weeks, that's 150 playlists. So what happens is my song got added to so many playlists. People liked it because it's catchy. Now Spotify's algorithm, like with any other platforms, is like, yo, what's going on here? So then they start pushing it. And then once they start pushing it, the streams start coming in. Once the streams start coming in, I got a royalty check of like $400. I was able to pay bills. I said, oh, hell no. Nah. And you know what, Celeste? I started doing that for all these other songs. And when I had 1 million streams total on all my songs, I cried. I can't lie. Like I cried because, you know, I can't believe my music had been listened to 1 million times. I've been trying so hard. And that feeling I had, I said it to myself at that time. I said, every independent artist needs to feel like how I feel right now. Every single one. And at that moment, I'm like, we're going to make this happen. And so that was the shift of my content and eventually of how I developed in the business. Because I wanted artists to feel what I felt when I got that 1 million streams.
Wow, that is amazing. So you had to grind to get to that point.
I was playlist hunting every night for probably 8-9 months. And I was still working for somebody. Now, fortunately, I was working from home, but you know, from 11 at night to 4, 5, 6 in the morning, finding playlists, figuring out who's fake, who's not, who's going to respond, who done sold the playlist and all that, you know. So yeah, I was on it.
So, so now it makes sense why you have such passion for artists, you know, because of all of the things you've done, all of the things you've learned. Now you're taking what you've learned to share with the people, right?
Yeah. So at group82music.com, you know, another thing I saw a gap in the industry. It was extremely hard to get cover arts done. It was extremely hard to get, you know, biographies written. It was extremely hard to get like lyric videos done, things that artists need. I'm like, why isn't there one place for all this? So once I figured out, you know, how to get 1 million streams, I know other artists will want this too. And I ended up buying some of the playlists that had added me. I ended up buying them from these people. So now I owned them. And so now I can add whoever that I wanted. But I knew I couldn't just have like a playlisting company, you know, because at any given moment, Spotify can be like, we're deleting all your playlists. There goes your business. So I wanted to make sure holistically we had something that was legit. So we started offering cover art services, biography. We would build your website. We would build your beat store. And that's how Group 82 Music happened. So I had this company that had all these services for artists, but then I had to promote it. So the way that I promoted it was like, okay, I ain't got a lot of money for a marketing budget. Once again, still working for somebody. What can I do? You know what? I'm going to take the greatest hits on Periscope and I'm going to just redo them for Instagram and I'm going to just pump the videos out and I'm going to see what happens. You know what I mean? And it worked. So
that is so dope. And so now that's what he does. You're going live. Can you still see me okay?
Yeah,
I got our pearls. You're going live on YouTube on a regular basis now. And most recently, Dorian had Donnell Jones on talking to him. And I was able to watch that interview. This is Dorian and Donnell Jones. Definitely like check out his YouTube. So much great content on there. But what was that like getting Donnell Jones and speaking to him, somebody that's from our era, speaking to him about his journey?
I mean, well, you know how it is with this podcasting game. You never know if people going to show up or not. You know what I'm saying? So I was happy that he showed up, man. He was very gracious, very humble, very good dude. And he was open. Like he, you know, like I was able to get some stuff out of him, not in like a sneaky way, but like stuff that I know that artists are passionate about. And he was open about a lot of stuff about his advance and everything. That was really cool. But you know what? Like in this music business, man, I learned this when I was coaching too. I stopped building people up a long time ago because you don't know how they're going to be. So if you start approaching everybody the exact same, and then just you adjust based on how they're acting, then you won't be disappointed. Because when you build somebody up and you think that they one way, and then you go talk to them and like, man, this nigga's a hoe. Like, I want to beat his ass. I'm like, it rocks you a little bit. You know what I mean? Now, when I was coaching, that happened a few times. And I was like, man, I don't want that to happen in like the music business neither. So I'll make sure that when I'm talking to people, I treat them like everybody else. And everybody's been gracious so far.
Nice.
One or two people, but Donnell was dope, man. Shout out to him. He got a new album. His album dropped last month on February 14th. Y'all gonna stream that, buy that.
Nice. So one of the things that because of all of his knowledge and you seem like an avid learner. You enjoy learning, especially when it comes to building yourself and your brand for you and your family. What is the courses that you're working on, and who would they be for?
Absolutely. So, when you start making a bunch of content and you post every day, you start seeing what people gravitate towards and what they don't. You look at the data and just even like the human interaction. Like if I post something and it gets 6,000 views in an hour, I'm like, whoa, what the hell? And I see a bunch of comments. And then if I start getting texts like from my homeboys and shit, I'm like, okay, that's something. If you post something and get like, 800 views in 3 hours, like people hate that shit. So because of that, I started learning what people liked and what they didn't. And I started learning who was serious and who wasn't. I've been doing this for a long time, well, a couple of years. And I realized some of the content that I thought was the best. Like I got a video on my YouTube and my Instagram, how to get verified on Instagram. Because once I got verified, I knew that was something a lot of people wanted to know. When I tell you, I give you the sauce, the video is like 20 minutes long. And I give so many tips that you can't find anywhere else because nobody else talked about it. I'm like, yo, this is gold. And the response was cool, but it wasn't what I thought it was. And you know what it was? I'm like, a lot of people won't ever get verified because they won't do all the work that's in this video. There's a lot that you got to do to get verified unless you go sign with an agency or some shit. And so I was like, man, I need to start saving this content for the more serious entrepreneur, the more serious musician. Because I had so much other content. I'm like, nah, I can't give this away. I need to save this for the people who are real. So I developed a class, and we're in the middle of it right now, filming it. The curriculum's written. I'm still working on the title, but the first class is going to be about music marketing and managing your own career without really needing somebody else, because my audience is primarily musicians. And I'm giving them the sauce. How to get 1 million streams on Spotify, literally how to hunt and find these playlists, how to chart #1 on iTunes, literally what I did to do that. Like I'm social media strategy. I'm giving them the sauce. And then the next class after that, I'm going to do a Facebook ads class, Facebook and Instagram ads, because I got Facebook ads certified out of necessity because I didn't want to pay no outside company for that. So I went to facebook.com/blueprint, really study them, being a student, got certified. So now I want to give that knowledge to other people so that way they ain't got to go through all the mess and just the stuff that's going to help you get some sales. YouTube has been great for me for the past 8 months. A lot of people have been asking me 8 months. A lot of people have been asking me about, yo, can you do something for YouTube? So we're going to do a YouTube class. Those are the 3 that are on our mind right now. We got some other stuff that we're going to do, but those are like the main 3 classes. So probably in the next 6 to 8 weeks, you're going to really see, right, what we're doing with the teaching and the education platform. Because, the stuff that I've learned, man, I want to cut down the time. Like I give you 6 years of music business information in 6 weeks. So you can literally take all the shit, all the mixtape websites, all the blogs, all the Periscopes, all that stuff that I learned that didn't work. I give it to you in 6 weeks. So that way you can really, really be efficient with your time and your resources.
What does it mean to be Facebook certified? Someone's asking.
Yeah. So what Facebook has is this program, and they send you a little award when you get certified.
Oh, that's cute. You did it for the award.
I'm like, yo, you passed the test, you won an award. Like, hell yeah, I won my award. But so Facebook ads and Instagram ads are probably, the most powerful marketing tools right now, along with Google and YouTube ads. And so they have these tests that you can take because Facebook, I want to say like 88% of their revenue comes from advertisement. So there's a lot of Facebook advertising agencies out here, and Facebook supports that. But how do you separate the real from the fake? If you go through facebook.com/blueprint and you learn all their stuff and you sign up to take a class, and it's like you taking the SAT or like the GRE, like you got to go. You can either go to a facility or do it at home. Can't have nothing behind you. They're watching you the whole time. You can't really talk out loud. Like you got a time limit. Like it's real. And then if you pass that course, if you pass that test, now you're Facebook ad certified. And so I make sure that I tell a lot of people that, because there's a lot of people out here telling you about Facebook and Instagram ads, and you ain't got to be certified to know. But, if the platform has a certification program and you know what you should be able to pass that test with a little bit of studying. There's no reason that you shouldn't be doing that. And it's a way to really separate these jokers from people that's real.
That's good. That's dope. I didn't even know about that. You just schooled me on that. I didn't know what that meant. Facebook. So does that mean so you're certified? So that means you can add that to your expertise. Like you can say Facebook certified on when you're like trying to talk to other people.
Yeah, I got 2 certifications. So I got Facebook Digital Marketing Associate, and then this one's for Facebook Creative Strategy Professional. They got like 8 different tests, I think now. I took 2 of them, and I'll probably take some more down the line. But you go to group82media.com. We got it at the bottom. It's on there.
Oh, that's dope. Let me pull it up because you got your little award. People hating when they be like little, right? You got your little award. So let me pull it up for the people. So you said it's at the bottom?
That's at Group 82 Music, group82media.com. Group 82.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So if you go to group82media.com. Okay. So make sure you guys check that out to check out our boy Dorian. Oh shoot. So what I'm hearing you say, so for people that are listening and they're like, dang, you're putting fire in them, what would you suggest as far as like getting up on social media? I just so happen to be consistent with all, but I know that's not easy to do.
Yeah.
And I know that some are better for some things than others. What would you suggest to somebody listening that really wants to kind of work on their consistency in social media?
Well, the first thing is only go to platforms that are going to pay you. When we were starting off on Periscope, getting paid on social media you had to get collaborations and all that. Like it was different. It ain't like that no more. YouTube pays, Instagram pays, Facebook pays. Like
they ain't been going off on Clubhouse.
Yeah, exactly. Like don't go to Clubhouse because they don't fucking pay. It don't make no sense. So first of all, only go to platforms that are going to pay you, because the last thing you want to do is build up a following on a platform that A, isn't paying you, and then B, they aren't paying you because they can't afford to, and then they go out like Periscope. You know what I mean? Like I would have loved Periscope to turn into the next YouTube. Like we would have been out of here, but they didn't. Twitter tricked it off. So now at the end of this month, all that stuff that we did on Periscope is meaningless.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first thing. Go to a platform that's paying. Now, after that, you got to have a website. You can't just go straight to that platform. You got to have a website where you can keep that data. See, the great thing about me and what I did was the whole time I was building Periscope, I also had my websites. So I had an email list. So all my Periscopes, I would tell people, go sign up for the email list, etc. So I was able to retain a lot of those fans and transfer them over to Instagram and to YouTube. So you got to have a website.
That's real quick. That's an important caveat. Even if you are on whatever site you're on, that's the thing I definitely slept on, was the emailing part. I didn't get hip to that till a couple years ago. But the reason why the email part is powerful is because we don't own, even though Dorian's getting paid on YouTube, he doesn't own YouTube. His account could get swiped up. So he has a way for his followers to reach him. So definitely create a system where you can collect their data. But keep going. Sorry.
Absolutely. And then on your website, and I'm not going to bore y'all too much with this stuff, but Facebook Pixel, go Google Facebook Pixel. If you're ever going to run Facebook or Instagram ads, you need to have Facebook Pixel installed. But even if you don't, Facebook Pixel basically keeps track of everybody comes to your website. It helps you find them again later on Facebook and Instagram. So have that. So that way you can always keep track of them. And then the third thing, Celeste said it, is, and I'm talking to the camera like I ain't talking to you, but you said it, is that consistency. When you are consistent, the platform works for you. See, the whole point of social media for these big tech companies, for Facebook, for Google, for Snap, for anybody, Netflix, they want to keep you on there as long as they possibly can. And the way people stay on these platforms is through good content. If your content is keeping people on there for a long time and people are sharing your content and they're listening and they're liking your content, they're going to promote your content to more people because you're giving them what they want. Because the longer someone stays on the platform, the more ads that the big tech can charge. That they can run to consumers. And then the more that they can charge the advertisers to put your ads in front of people. So consistency. If you are consistently giving them content, they're going to work with you. They're going to push your shit. They're going to help you. Now, when I say consistent, I ain't talking about a month. I ain't talking about 3 months. I'm talking about 2 years. You need to look at social media as a part-time job you're going to do for 2 years every single day, and you're not going to get paid for it. If you don't have that mentality, don't even start. You got to mentally prepare yourself for that, because it ain't going to be till like month 15, 16 when you really start seeing some shit, if you even see it then. Some people don't see it till month 24. You know what I mean? So you got to put yourself in that mentality. And if you do those things that I said, you'll start seeing some traction.
Yeah, and definitely, sometimes we may have a idea. Be okay with pivoting too, like seeing what people are gravitating towards. I think that's important. Being okay with pivoting. And I remember, I would go on, Periscope 5 days a week. I had maybe about 6,000 followers, and somebody DM'd me. It's like, hey, how did you build your following? And I was like, oh, I would go on consistently. She was like, oh, I went on for 2 weeks. People aren't coming. I promise you, no one came. When I first started coming on, no one came. But I had a goal in mind. I knew what I was trying to achieve. And I knew I wasn't going to get paid, but I kept celebrating the moments of, oh, snap, I got one person. Oh, they asked a question, right? And I think that right now people see people, I say make it in quotations, because you can make yourself look like you're doing better than what you are. But people see this facade and they're trying to figure out why it's not happening for them when they don't know where that person started from, right? And they don't know where Dorian started from. They're like, who do you think you are, critiquing my music? Because Dorian goes on YouTube and people pay him to give them ideas on how they can better their music. And but he's been doing this for so long. So I think it's important to think about if you need to pivot, and also being consistent.
Absolutely. And a part of that, too, is going through the trials. It's like if you want to go run a marathon, that's 26.2 miles, some of us couldn't run 3 miles right now. But if you start running every single day, by the end of the month, you're going to be up to 8-9 miles like it's nothing. But you're going to get the blisters. You're going to get the corns. Your feet going to be hurting. You're going to be tired. You're going to be dehydrated. You're going to get the cramps. But then as you keep doing it, you get used to it, where you can eventually run at 26.2. There's a reason we all start off with 0 followers. You got to go through all that. You got to go through, like she was saying, celebrating them small moments, celebrating getting 1,000 followers, celebrating getting 100 people inside of a live and all that stuff, and you got to learn how to deal with the criticism. And, that's a huge thing, because a lot of people want all the social media fame, but it don't come without the social media negative energy. It comes with it, and people going to say stuff. Any insecurity you have is going to get attacked. And, the only way to deal with it is by hearing it. And after you heard it, 3,000 times, I don't give a fuck no more. The first couple of times, you like, now I want to beat somebody's ass. So, there's a reason that it takes a while. There's a reason that there's a process to this, because you got to train yourself. Because once you get to a certain point, now I can say it's from personal experience. Once you get a blue check on like Instagram or something, people's energy shift. They start acting weird. Start acting really weird, and you got to get used to like, oh, they view me like they view other people that have a blue check. It takes time, man. It takes time. So just enjoy the process.
Yeah, enjoy the process and know that it's going to take time. But I think with commitment, you can start seeing some changes. And you literally have built your brand from scratch.
Yeah, absolutely.
From your consistency and looking at what was out there and what needed to be done. So I think that's a powerful story. If people wanted to reach out to you, how would they do that?
Right now, I think at this point, it's my first time saying on an interview, I think the best way to connect with somebody on social media or business owners is, go to their content and leave a very meaningful comment. I always click on those. I don't click on every email and read it. Them DMs get deleted damn near as soon as I see them sometimes, unless I know what's coming, But if somebody writes a meaningful comment consistently, daily, I'm going to start paying attention to what they got to say. And especially if I respond, I try to respond to a lot of them. So start doing that. Like come to the content, right? Instagram more so than YouTube, because YouTube, I'll read the comments, but Instagram is like more of a personal thing to me. So start doing that. And, that's a little growth hack, because if you come to my page, let's say that you're somebody that wants to do what I'm doing with entrepreneurship and the music business. If you come to my page, turn the notifications on at Dorian Group 82. As soon as I post, you watch the video and you leave like a 4-sentence comment that is relevant and adds value. Anybody else that watches my video, they're going to see your comment. You were one of the first. If it's really good, then I'm going to pin it. Now you can steal some of my followers. You were consistent and you gave value. So there's a lot of reasons that you should do that. You get on the person's radar who you're following, and you can actually steal some of their followers and people start following you and your content.
Yeah, that's good. So what I used to do when I started on Twitter, I would type in like depression or anxiety or whatever. And then I would look for people that have tweeted about mental health, and I would write something under their thing. So that like, that's how I would do it to help build it. I would actually, or Instagram, if I would search, like when I built my, Instagram, my business Instagram, I would search something that has to do with what I'm doing and write something meaningful under it. It's so interesting because I've heard Gary Vee say this, and I'm like, this is exactly what I did, but I didn't realize this is what was able to create the following that I got. Like it was because of that piece. So what Dorian's saying is so true. I never thought about it this way, but it's literally like a part-time job. Yeah. And I think that we put so much energy into our 9 to 5, and we have these passions, but we're not willing to put the energy into our passion. And I think a big part of that is just our psyche around, like this, it feels like this is what we're supposed to do. I think I grew up thinking, go to college, work somewhere for 25 years, retire, right? And I think that things are different now. There's a lot more opportunities out there for us. And like Dorian said earlier in the podcast, the information is out there. We just have to take notes. You know what I mean? We just have to take notes.
I think a lot of people too, Celeste, they don't realize like it doesn't take as much time as you think. You get a lot done in an hour. People thinking like part-time job, I got to have 4 or 5 hours. Nah, if you only got 10 minutes to give your social media content that day, man, you'd be surprised if you go live for 10 minutes every day, what starts happening. If you start playlist hunting for 10, 20 minutes a day, because the moment you start having success, it's like the gym, right? Like the first couple of times that you go to the gym, you're like, damn. But the moment you start seeing like something start bulging,
yes.
Okay. All right, let me start putting
Celeste, you look like you losing a little weight. You know what I'm saying? I've been in the gym.
That's all you got to hear. Now you strict to your diet and everything. It's the exact same thing with social media. So a lot of people can always say we got the same 24. People be in the comments, I got 8 kids. Your 24 different. The clock is still the same, and if you on Netflix, if you on Instagram, hell, if you watching this right now, and this is giving you value, but you didn't come here probably for some value. You came here to bullshit. That is an hour you could have spent on your own. So just start auditing your life, and see, do I really need to go to the grocery store? That's going to be 30 minutes. I can order what I need, nigga. I can knock out 30 minutes of content.
Or check out your screen time. How much time are you on? Because there's so many, like Dorian said, the goal for social media, the heads, what they want is to keep us on. And so they check out your algorithm. They know you like this comedy or you like this other stuff. And a lot of us are sheep. We're not even mindful that we've just spent 2 hours on Instagram just doing like this. Like I go on to post something and I'll look at a few things and immediately I'm like, oh, I'm wasting my time. Yep. I legit feel that way at this point in my life because I understand how valuable my time is. But I don't think you all understand the value of your time. But I think when you start to understand how valuable your time is, I always tell people I got 4 kids, I work full time. Like I said, I would listen to Dorian working overnight, listening to him, listening to other people. But I didn't just listen, I put in action, right? So like you may came here because you've seen I was talking about creating your brand from scratch. Don't let this be like a feel-good message, like a good Sunday church message. Right? Like take this and bring it into your life and start to really be intentional about it. I think that's how you win in the game is when you start being intentional about what you're reading and what you're hearing.
Yep. And that's all a part of it. It's all part of the process. Even when it came to investing for me, like, I didn't know nothing about the stock market. My parents ain't know nothing about none of that. I had to humble myself and realize, man, you're an idiot in this. You're a kindergartner in this, and you need to go watch videos. I was literally watching kid finance videos to understand these concepts.
Whatever works,
man. And I was able. This was before my daughter was born. And now she has a decent sized portfolio, more than the average adult, because I was learning all that stuff. So it's you got to be real with yourself. You got to humble yourself, and then don't beat yourself up for not knowing something, and just take the time to just go through it because, it's all a part of it. Because once you learn those skills to teach yourself something, once you learn your skills to build something from scratch, you can always do it. That's a transferable skill. You know what I mean? Like being able to type 100 words per minute, like they were telling our parents that they should have been able to do, that skill don't mean shit no more. And once voice gets here, it really ain't gonna mean nothing. But the ability to be able to build something from scratch, that's definitely a skill that's transferable.
Yes. And then the last thing I'll say is pivoting too. Right now, Spotify works for Dorian. In 2 years, it may not. And he might have to go back to the drawing board. And so like understand, like I don't know who Facebook, what their team looks like, but this is the only social media that has literally been out. I remember Black Planet, Black Space, MySpace. But Mark, he was able to pivot and he figured out what people needed and how to keep people on. So just kind of think about that too. If something's working and then it slows down or stops working, really look at maybe I need to shift something a little bit. What, you know what I mean? Like, I think that's important.
Yep, absolutely.
Thank you, Dorian.
That's all we got? That's it?
Yeah, that's it. We've been on for an hour.
Okay, I'll see you a minute.
Dorian likes to talk. Dorian likes to talk.
I got like another hour in me, but I think
I know you do. I had to guide this with you, Rami, Tijuana Jackson's gonna come on here at some point. I don't know how I'm gonna get through that. But I appreciate y'all so much. I love your candor. I love your energy. What you do for the people is so dope. And hearing like how everybody doesn't have this like broken family story, right? You had a great story. Like you had a good upbringing, but your good upbringing didn't create where you are now. You still had to put in work regardless of whatever, right? Man. So that's important.
And that's something people don't talk about. Like my parents are amazing, but shit, when I turned 18, like I went to college, like I was in debt like everybody else. Like it's, that's something, I might do a video on that.
Oh yeah. Because I think people think like, oh, you had it good, like that's why you're where you're at, and it's like, nah, you still had to grind. You got one of your ducks in here.
What's up, Victor? What's up, bro? Like, nah, entrepreneurship don't give a damn, and the internet don't give a damn about your upbringing, about your net worth, about who your daddy is, about your color. They don't give a damn, nigga. Are you giving me value or not? If not, I'm on to the next person.
That is so true. Yo, do a video on that. Thank you, Dorian. You know how I feel about you. I appreciate you, homie.
I want to shout you out too, because a lot of people are doing podcasts. Everybody want to have a podcast, and like I said, I saw when you were really, really grinding, and you do it now. But there was one time I was like, you were one of the only people. I was like, yo, her work ethic might be better than mine. Like that takes a lot for me to say.
I think we're on the same level. I think honestly, when I see you, I'd be like, yo, we're on the same level as far as ethics is concerned. Well, work ethics. I don't know about you.
Nah, hell no. But a lot of people need to really pay attention and give you your flowers, because what you've done and 200,000 downloads, man, come on, man. That's way better than 1 million streams. Way better.
Thank you, homie. I appreciate you. Thank you. I really do.
I'm about to go.
All right. Well, I know you got your babies, or your baby. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you.
All right, you have a good one.
Bye. All right. So thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Celeste Therapist Podcast. This episode will be out on audio podcast on Wednesday. Make sure if you enjoy the episode, make sure you give Dorian a follow. He's a really dope follow. I'm not even a musician, and I love his content because of how he helps me kind of shift my thought process and think about ways. I look at the way he markets. And that's another thing too. I should have said this on the show with him, but I'm sure he does the same thing. He did talk about Gary Vee. I look at what other people are doing and I see what's working for them. And then I kind of tweak it for myself to figure out how it works for myself. So definitely like be okay with doing that. And for people that are really trying to work on their branding and creating, but definitely make a commitment. So I appreciate you guys so much. We'll be back on Thursday to talk to somebody else who is doing something to empower the lives of others.
Smile, every hug, every kiss, every touch, every person in my life that I care about and love. But wait, maybe I'm getting too emotional. That's exactly what they say you ain't supposed to do. Suppress your feelings, never talk about your pain. Can't appreciate the sun without acknowledging it rains, right? That's right. So this a moment of clarity. And make sure you always protect your energy. You stay focused and your life gon' be lit. And you are now rocking